Okay, trying this again.
I'll try it again and see how it goes.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
sounds good.
Everybody should be able to hear us now. I want it to stop and restart that way whenever we're good to go. All right.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
So let us know if you guys can hear us just fine. Um, leave it to Brad for the audio issues. I always am terrible with that.
Usually it's me though. Lately,
Uh, I know, right? It's pretty funny. Okay, let
sure.
me.
Hey man, how's it going?
All right, now we're good. Now we're good.
Better
So
now we're going.
let's start over. So if you guys are seeing this later or just joining us, I screwed up yet again with the audio. So we're starting over. Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. I find a lot of success in trading over the counter stocks, and I make a living doing so. But I realized a long time ago when I created WeTrade HQ, which is an overall free platform for people to learn and grow and interact with other like-minded individuals, that the OTC isn't for everybody. And so I took it upon myself to reach out to other folks who were very proficient and found a lot of success in the areas and the niches within the stock market that they find success in, and asked them if they would be willing to, coach and teach others how they were able to find success in order to maybe follow their path and see if that works for them. Because, OTC is very volatile. Sometimes people just don't like that crazy volatility. But the way that someone like Cameron trades is a little bit less volatile. He does a lot of long-term trading, and he does a lot of trading on the bigger board stocks. And I thought maybe that this would be an area of opportunity for some of you folks who'd be interested in learning how to trade in that type of space. Cameron's a millionaire. He's been on the show quite a few times before. And I'm just excited to bring him into the We Trade family as a mentor. And I'll let you go ahead and take it away. I think I've spoken long enough
Yeah,
for an intro
it's
there.
it's gonna be interesting trying to like double do this on like Instagram Live, the talk and everything, but we'll do our best. So
All right.
yeah, my name is Cameron Bennion. It's crazy though. It's crazy. It's been like a year, like we were saying, almost a year now. I
Yeah.
think since we kind of like finally connected. My connection is always horrible, so hopefully this is like authentic
I know.
video.
I had the worst one this time.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough being a YouTuber, that's for sure. That's what I've learned over this past year. But yeah, so I'm really excited. Young Money Investments has like grown a ton. Not, I mean, it's nothing near your channel, but it's been really neat, especially over probably the past month or so, to kind of see more people to help them interact. I mean, as you were saying, I've been a long-term investor, and I think there's a distinction that I've really like to make and kind of make people aware of, and that is there's a large distinction between investing and trading, right? I think sometimes we interchange that words. Oh, I'm an investor, I'm a trader. Investing is very different because you're more in it for the long haul, right? And that's where I think I have kind of excelled. I got into the market during the Great Recession that we had back 07, 08. And my thing was, I was like very low risk. I didn't have a lot of money. I was in high school, but I kind of took like the Warren Buffett approach where you are only, basically, you're going to have changes. You're going to have ups and downs in the market. But over the past 80, 90 years, the market has continually went up and up and up and up. And so that is how I kind of got my feet wet, so to speak. And obviously, as times went on, I've decided to get into more swing trading. I've dabbled in day trading as well. But I think my core idea is that most people don't have a whole lot of money to usually start investing, and a lot of people don't have the time like to do what you do to trade OTCs or to constantly be on their computer.
Right.
It's something that we love, but long-term investing is something we all need to do. We all have a 401k usually, and so if you understand that a little bit better, it's neat that you can beat what a lot of these hedge fund managers try to do. And so that's kind of like my kind of where everything started for me.
Gotcha. And just to kind of uh, give a little background. So, guys, Cameron started. I mean, he still does. He's in sales, so he does a lot of sales for ADT systems. Does like a lot of door knocking. It's kind of like where he really grinded his teeth, where he really saw a lot of success, and kind of where he's at right now. He still does it, as his day job, but this is something that he still trades. Is able to do it with a full time job, and has a lot of success in doing it. You can go on his Instagram. You see that he puts up his wins daily. He sees consistent wins throughout the stock market. Trades what I would say probably maybe an hour or two in the stock market that you're actually trading, and then you're free to do whatever you want the rest of the day. Is that right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm not on there a whole bunch. Obviously, it's become a love and a passion. The more you do something, the more you're going to love it. But the reality is you don't have to be on there too much. And granted, I'm not perfect. I think that's a big thing too. Is
Yeah.
I post some of my L's. I mean, I've had some L's as well. But for most traders getting started, I think the big thing is it is like a shock factor for you when you lose a lot of money at the very beginning. And that's where I like long-term investments, is that for me personally, again, each person's different, but I feel like the risk is minimized if you spread that out over a long period of time. Yes, stocks are going to go up and down daily, but your big large cap companies that have a lot of money on the balance sheets, they're not going anywhere. Your Facebooks, your Googles, your Amazons,
Right.
those companies aren't going anywhere. And so that's what I kind of like. I really like that stability, and I think it's good for a lot of new investors.
Well, yeah, and I think that does resonate with a lot of people, especially for those who maybe are just starting out, or anybody who's ever even heard of stock knows that like Apple's publicly traded on the stock market or Amazon's publicly traded. You know that you can go out and just buy Amazon stock, but they might not
Everyone's
be as
heard of those companies, right?
right, right. So like, it's a little bit different of a flavor than for like the OTC, because lots of times you have to like do some digging. Well, what does this company do? Why do I even want to trade it? And so it does give it a different little different flair. Guys, feel free to ask questions. I am looking. I have the live chat pulled up on my phone here, so feel free to ask Cameron any questions. But I'll go ahead and open it up here. So Cameron, what would you like if you were trading, like in your style of trading, your strategy, like how much would you say that you would have to start off with, or in order to be able to just break into the type of trading that you do?
I mean, I think in my course, I recommend $1,000 is usually a good place to start.
Yeah.
It really is dependent on who you are and what your ultimate goal is. I think a lot of times we as new investors, we as people in general, we see these big, massive 100% wins. I think you posted one recently today, like 100% runner in a day. And we get this idea that, oh, that can happen overnight. I'm going to double my $1,000 account. My style of trading isn't really that way.
Right.
But the thing is you can start with $1,000. And my recommendation is if you are long-term investing, have a set amount that you're willing to put in on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, so that your account does grow, but you don't have to put in I'm not saying put in $1,000 every month. Put in a few $100s every month.
Right.
Start with 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000, and just realize, a share of Netflix is going to be $350. A share of Apple right now is going to be $149, $150. So depending on how many shares you want to buy, it's just going to be dependent. So I don't want to say, you can't start with a low dollar amount, but I think you have to manage and realize expectations are going to be different if you're starting with that lower amount.
Yeah, and I think that's a realistic point of view, just because you get a lot of people that say, oh, well, you can start off with $100 or this, that, and the other. And like, it drives me crazy because I get a lot of people that will reach out to me and say, hey, I have $300 left to my name. What can I throw it in? And I'm like, nothing. I said, just keep saving it, because you're going to get killed in a lot of different ways, especially if you've never traded before. You might as well just go into it with the expectation that you're going to lose everything. I'm not saying that you're going to lose everything, but if you have that expectation, it's one of those things where it's just you run into situations where you give yourself a little bit of false hope. So if you kind of bring yourself down to earth a little bit and understand that this is actually something that you are risking, and that if you're not okay with losing it, then you shouldn't be risking it. And so that's kind of like the approach that I give a lot of folks. And it sounds like that you probably have that same type of mindset.
Yeah, and that's probably, I mean, that's one of the probably top 3 to 4 questions I get asked on a daily basis, right? Is how much do I need to start investing? And I usually tell everyone, like, start investing in yourself, like gain the knowledge, gain the, the tools that you need. Spend that money on that first. And then after you have those tools, then go into, putting your money into the markets. And you don't have to spend money. I always tell everybody too, like, don't go out and buy a course if you're not able to afford it.
Right.
But a course is going to give you that structure. It's just like college tuition. I mean, we'll pay tens of thousands of dollars every year for college. But when it comes to a course, sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to spend that, but I want to make, a 3x on my money in the next 6 months. Right. And it's about managing expectations, I think.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I think, it's first of all, investing in yourself and educating yourself before you even make a trade, I think is probably the best decision that you can make. That's the best investment decision, period, I think. And, for those of you who are still interested in Cameron's course, it's going to be showcased on WeTradeHQ.com. The link will be in the description. I actually already put it in there for you guys. It's going to be Young Money Investments University. So let's just dive a little bit deeper and find out who Cameron actually is. So, what actually interested you about the stock market? Why trade in general? Why day trade like you do?
So like I got started in my style is different. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't think I know anyone that really invests and trades at the same time, right? Like everyone's usually pretty nichey. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like my niche is your niche is OTCs. We have other people like my friend Rhett that's like his niche is shorting. Like that is all anyone does. For me, I'm like a very like I like multiple income streams
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always refining myself. So I can see so many faults in myself and where I can improve and be better. But I love the idea that long term investing, like I said, is so critical. I found out that compound interest was huge. I think it was sophomore. So basically, it started sophomore year of high school. We had like a class of like 290, 300 students or something like that. I forget, but we all were in this like stock market challenge game, right? So it was one of those, I don't know, like simulated trading course things. It was a month long, and I was like the top. I believe I was the first one. I don't know if my memory serves me right. I was like top three, but I think I was the number one in that group. And so it gave me confidence in myself to like, hey, this is something I'm good at. It involves money, and I can slowly invest and kind of put money into this. I wanted to be a doctor at the time, but I knew it was something that would help build my wealth over time because compound interest. If you don't know what compound interest is, it's just it builds over time. So you have $1,000, you gain 10%. At the end of that year, you have $1,100, if my math is correct. And then that 10% builds on that 1,100, and it just goes up and up. And so
Right.
that's what got me interested in the stock market. And like I said, it was the Great Recession. Stocks had just tanked, like just were cheap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I dated a girl. Her dad worked for Procter and Gamble, so I bought some Procter and Gamble stock too. And it just kind of fueled my I guess it piqued my interest, like that you can make money off of buying something, whereas usually if you buy something, like it's instantly worth nothing or worth like a huge depreciation. And so that's where my love for stocks kind of got started. And then, like you said, my day job, doing home security, being a manager, selling home security, and all that stuff. I gained over a course of a summer. I had tens of thousands of dollars more that I never had, and so I was like, well, again, I'm not like super. I don't need to be like spending a bunch of money. Let's
Right.
put this away for retirement. And so retirement was always like my goal. Add money from being a doctor, put it in the stock market, make more money, et cetera, et cetera.
That's cool. Yeah, and I kind of want to touch back on something. And it's so funny. Like this is what differentiates what we do, guys, with We Trade HQ, and why I've been so selective on who I pick and who I have within our community of mentors to help you guys learn and grow and find success is because with that success, you have to realize that failure is going to be in there. And I wanted to touch back on something that you had mentioned about like you post your losses sometimes, and that even though you may experience losses in your day trading, you have other things to back that up, such as your longer term investing. And everybody I think should have that backup plan as well. Probably something that we haven't really touched on a whole lot. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And so the transparency that we have with just saying, hey, listen, we're all human, and even the best of the best. I'm not saying that we are even the best of the best, but even like those other guru types that you see all the time that are quote unquote millionaires riding around in supercars and all this other stuff. They experience losses too. Don't let them kid you. And I think what makes us different is that we're just genuine within ourselves. Like I don't mind telling folks when I lose, because I think it's me using it as a learning experience, not only for myself, but for them to be able to learn as well so that they can learn from that mistake that I made. So I think it's just as important to share any type of loss as it is a gain. So I can certainly appreciate that very much.
Well, it doesn't make you a bad investor, a bad trader. I mean,
Not
like
at all.
it makes you human.
Exactly. 100%. Got so. Let's see. How much did you start out with? Did you already have money? Unlike me, I have to save to trade. So I think we did touch on that a little bit. So, but how much did you actually start off with when you started
No,
to day trade?
I probably, granted, I had saved, like, I didn't come from money. Like, I mean, background information, like, I had to take out like Pell Grant loans. Like, I qualified for Pell Grants. I like subsidized loans for school and everything. Like, my family was not wealthy whatsoever.
Right.
Um, I like really grew up in like a middle class family, I'd say. My parents were got divorced when I was younger, so my mom really did her best to really provide us with a good lifestyle.
Mm.
But I mean, I think at times I thought we had more than we really did, which was a blessing for me. But I started out with probably about $5,000, so it is a sizable amount. Don't get me wrong. And that's why I think in my course and just in Instagram and everything else, I try to tell people, like, don't plan on your investments making you money to go spend on a new pair of shoes, or to go take your money out of your out of your investment account and go buy dinner with it. Like, the purpose of investing, especially for me in these long terms and even my swing trades, is to get that money compounding, get it started early at a young age. Because even if you take off like 5 years, I was filming like one of the last videos for my course today, and even if you took off like 5 years of investing, starting out with $1,000 and adding $100 every month, you end up actually losing out on over a mil. It's like 1.1 or $1.3 million
Yeah.
just in a 5 year period. And so my thing was always like, the math makes sense to me. Like, you don't have to start with a huge amount, but it's just getting started early. And I think a lot of us always tell ourselves, we'll do it next week or next month or next year. And
Yep.
before you know, it's the next year.
Yeah, yeah, and procrastination kicks in big time. So
Sure.
definitely appreciate it. John here is asking, were you were you in on Netflix when they first hit the web? But I don't think you probably were. Were you too young for that?
Say that again.
Were you in on Netflix when when their IPO first hit?
I wasn't really, I was just like, I didn't even trade at that point. I was just like giving Edward Jones, my broker, which
Yeah,
I'll just say, I'm not endorsing Edward Jones right now. I think you have a lot more power than just giving your money to a broker.
yeah,
Um, Kind of when that was around, I don't think I might have been too young even for the Netflix IPO, and it didn't make sense. And this is the thing, is we, as even people that are like really interested in investing, there will still be call outs and plays that I will miss long term. I mean, I didn't see the value in sending out a DVD in the mail and like not going to Blockbuster. I thought that was like too long of a time frame. I didn't
yeah.
understand the streaming game.
Right.
But hey, like, look, I think it's a potentially a good investment. I mean, they're going to raise their prices here. I was
Yeah, I
reading.
just saw that this morning. I think they announced that, right?
Yeah, and it's like 137 million subscribers right now. I mean, an extra buck to $2 per account. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
that's 137 million to like $260 million more every month that they're making. So, hey, I mean, we're gonna miss those calls sometimes, but more often than not, I'd like to say that we make the right decisions. But yeah, that was before my time. Long story short.
yeah. So I guess to kind of go back to your course a little bit. So I think folks probably are wondering exactly what does it cover and like the types of things that you kind of go over. So maybe I'll just start with a broader question. If anybody has any questions regarding to Cameron's course that we are offering, again, it's going to be on WeTradeHQ.com. The link's in the description for you to check that out. It is like, what type of day trader are you exactly? Do you just base all of your plays on charts? Do you use specific scanners? Do you do any kind of like fundamental trading? I know that you might. I know that you engage in some shorting too as well. So you want to go ahead and like just kind of go into what type of strategy you actually have from a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like I said, I'm a very abnormal trader in the sense, or stock market investor, because I am a trader and an investor. I'm
Mm-hmm.
both. And so for the most part, I'd say most of my assets are tied up in long-term positions, and then a decent amount of my account I'll allocate towards swing trades. I'm getting more into shorting recently, and I've had a lot of good success in a short-term account. in shorting. I've had one trade MBOT that's just like that stock.
that looked like a OTC. You know, that thing
Yeah,
went
like
nuts.
that sucker 260 to like $19 in like 2 days, like
Yeah.
crazy amounts. Even one day it went from I think $9 to $19. And that one I've gotten like almost squeezed out. Like that was a sucky play. But all my other ones have turned out really well, and I've been learning from one of the best. And so I'm getting more into that. But I think that is my strategy: is don't put all your eggs in one basket as you're learning. As you have more time, for me, it's a time thing, right? At different times of the year, I have more time to invest in learning to short. Or if I wanted to learn OTCs, I'd go to you and I'd be like, hey, I want to learn how to trade in the OTC market.
Right.
So it just depends on my time constraints. During the summer, I can't really do that on a day-to-day basis. And so I'm going to focus more on, long-term swing trades. And I do kind of a mixture. I think when I first started swing trading, I would like not cut losses early enough. And what I've realized is swing trades are like day trades in the sense that you need to base it more off of the technicals rather than the fundamentals. What's the company's PE ratio, what did their earnings report? I don't play earnings anymore. It's another trading strategy out there.
It's pretty risky, right, to do like earnings reports and stuff like that. It's almost kind of like you're just going to throw a dart at that point.
Yeah, because sometimes the price of that stock is already priced in before the earnings report comes out. Let's say you think Netflix is going to go up. Well, everyone buys it thinking the same thing that you did. The news comes out that it was good, and then everyone still sells their shares.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's just a super risky. It's like gambling, like throwing darts, like you said. But my course is going to mainly be focused on how to get involved with long-term investing, how to read. I don't have a video yet on how to read 10Ks and 10Qs, which are financial reports that come out.
That's all right, I do.
There you go. Look for his course. There's kind of a hybrid strategy. I like to use, like I said, the fundamentals when I'm buying a company for the long term. But I also like to know that I'm getting a good value, a good price. And I think that comes from my background and like not having a lot of money. I always had to shop around. I always had to like get the very best price for anything. Even my cars, I mean, people like probably think that I spent like a boatload on my cars, like my Raptor that I just got, but I literally got that truck for under MSRP, and dealerships are selling them for 15,000 over. Like I'm like a bargain hunter and like a very frugal person at heart. And so one of the things that I do is I like to use the RSI. I like to use, a value play, buying on that dip and going, okay, over the long term, I see a lot of value in these companies. So there's a lot of content geared towards that. There is stuff for like the new investor, how to set up your charts, what is an RSI indicator? How do you have support and resistance? What's an EMA line? There is, what else? I mean, it's really like I said, kind of like me, like a jack of all trades course. We'll potentially come out with, more sub courses and things like that in the future. If people really want a shorting course, for example, I can do something like that. But this is going to be geared toward like anyone that has ever thought about getting involved in investing and wanting to like start with some of these larger cap companies. If you want to know about how to use charts and those kinds of things and kind of hybridize and blend that with the fundamentals, that's really like I think I even have some stuff about like taxes, like short-term capital gains versus long-term capital gains.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will probably get benefit out of that. I don't know if anybody within our mentorship group has really covered that yet. So that certainly I think would be beneficial for a lot of folks as well.
The government loves to take your money, so you might as well can, right?
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So
great. All right. So I'm trying to think if there's any other questions, guys. Just keep them coming. Let me think. Do you have any plans? So I know that within We Trade HQ, we found a lot of success, and I know people watching are probably getting ready to tune into Kiko's stock mentorship program. So he goes live every day and just kind of does a private mentoring with folks who may be struggling or maybe just want to learn a little bit extra. Maybe they've taken a course or two, maybe they've educated themselves, but they really need that day-to-day interaction to just try to kind of like go over certain plays, what went well, what didn't. Is there anything that you might be having coming down the pike a little bit later that may indicate some sort of mentorship program structured in a similar way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg, right? You always got to like you got to start small, right? You got to start somewhere at least. And this is like a accumulation of probably 8 months of like back and forth with you.
We've been talking for a while now.
You're gonna get a course out? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get a course out. And then a month goes by, and it's just like investing, right? We're all procrastinators at heart. And so definitely a private mentorship is in the works. That's something that I'd love to get going here. It's going to kind of be based on like how well the course is received, obviously, and going along with like adding to the course as well. This course is never going to most likely be a final or finished product. I plan on probably adding one video a month at least, talking about my top 3 picks that I'm going to be looking at and investing each month out of the year. And so that's kind of another thing, is this course is intended for anyone, whether you buy it now or whether it's someone that ends up just hearing about me in a year from now. You're going to continually get new content, and I want to be able to help you. My goal isn't to make a ton of money off of this. My goal is to be that mentor that I didn't have, and learning through, I had growing pains. Like I promise you, I've had losses, I've had time losses in a sense. And so my goal with the course was just simply to do that. But again, like you're talking about, maybe doing a weekly mentorship or something of that nature, maybe a bi-weekly, throwing a few videos out there on the consistent basis. That will be something else that we'll probably add, because when you get into something, usually you're like thirsty for it. Like when you first start, like you want as much info as you can. And so that is something else that we'll be working on, and we'll probably be out here, over the next month or so.
That's awesome. And just to kind of back that up, that anything that Cameron adds to this course is also included for anybody who already bought it. There's not going to be any extra cost to that. So any updates, anything that he adds to it is going to be structured similar to mine and the other folks that have put theirs out already. It's all going to be included. You pay one price, and then anything that gets added to it or updated, it's all included in that. So we're not going to be charging you anything extra for that. It's just going to be all included. So thank you for that. I think let's kind of shift gears a little bit. We'll talk about your trading career again, and just do a little hot take here. So what was your biggest win? What was your biggest trade?
So I'm trying to think percentage wise. I think my very biggest was my first biggest. I'm going to talk about 2. So my first biggest one was, I was like 20 years old, I think. So Facebook had taken a nosedive, like it IPO'd at like $41, and it tanked down to like the low 18s.
I was going to say it went into the teens. I remember that.
Yeah, it was low. And again, like I said, this is my brain, how it functioned when I knew nothing about the stock market. But I told myself, I was like, okay, this stock has shed over 50% of its value. It's very popular. This is a popular social media platform. Even at the time, 2011, 2012, right. It was still like it was crushing MySpace at the time.
Oh yeah.
If you remember MySpace. And the thing with it was, I told myself, I'm like, it could drop to 12, it could drop to 10, and I could lose out, on a few more dollars. But my thought process was, it can't drop much lower. It's eventually got to go up. And so I think I got in, I probably bought about $3,600 worth, and I bought at right around 1836 or 1856. It was like I think it was like 1856, somewhere in that range. And I wrote it up to about high 60s, which is funny now looking at the price. And I'm like, man, I missed out on so much gain.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
And so that one, I pretty much 3X'd my money on that. That was probably one of my biggest, but that was a long-term, multiple year position that I had. I've had some big ones in Tesla. That I've had like a $12,000 trade in a day, or not a day, pardon me, in like a week's period. It was like a swing trade. But again, we're talking like a 6-figure position. And so again, it's how much money I've put into it. It's never, I don't remember what the percentage gain was, but it was back when Elon, I think, smoked some weed,
Yeah, I actually covered that one. Yeah. And it's so funny. Being able to react to other people's emotions is what's going to allow you to win in this type of market. So like when people are freaking out because of something that's real trivial like that, and all of a sudden, like I remember Tesla had its first car accident because of a fire or something like that. It plunged like maybe $100 or something like that. It was at $250 a share at that point, and came right back up the next week. And it's like, y'all a bunch of idiots for selling that, because it's just like, unless there was folks shorting it at that time, but it was prime opportunity, and opportunities lend like that all the time. It's just that you have to know what you're looking for, and we got Cameron here who can help guide you in that right direction. Last question we'll cover, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Someone asked, what's your take on algorithm trading software? Have you used it? What do you think? Do you know anything about it? Or
so I've looked at I had a guy in Provo, Utah. I was going to have him, he's an app developer. He had like created a program where I think it traded based on some of his parameters and things like that. And I thought it was really cool, especially when I first started swing trading, because I'm like, hey, all my swing trades basically go off of X, Y, and Z, right? Why wouldn't it need to have an app? And so I just never got into it. It's very expensive to get someone to code and build an app. I mean, Jake is like a brainiac when it comes to app development, software development, and everything.
Jake is our partner throughout WeTrade HQ. He's built that castle that you guys show up to every day. So just to go back to that, he actually, Jake is, and it's interesting that you brought that up. Papa Wolfik was asking about that because our partner, my business partner, Jake, who created WeTrade HQ, and is my co-founder, he actually is in the midst of trying to create like a trading bot. So it's interesting, and you can go ahead and continue, but I just think it's fascinating how all that has worked. And I'm working for T. Rowe Price. I worked for a major trading firm. This is something that they're actually concerned about, competition with their, financial managers and stuff like that. So it's definitely interesting. But yeah, go ahead and continue.
And it will continue to change the markets. I mean, it definitely will affect the volatility and things like that, because as more computers trade off of technical indicators and they're not trading off of emotion, yes, you'll see potentially more volatility in the markets, but there will always be a place for human trading, I think, in the markets. You just need to learn how to move differently than the way that the crowds move, taking your profits maybe a little bit earlier than you did 10 years before, these computer generated algorithms work, or you have to change your mindset. And that's the great thing about the market is you can be as weird as you want. And that's almost a good thing, because you're not going to act the way that everyone else and kind of the normal trend is. So isn't going to change anything in terms of, me investing in the stock market. It's just going to add one more level of potential, I don't want to call them issues, but something you need to think about when you're swing trading or day trading, right?
Yeah. I think that this could be a nice little topic that we could revisit in about a month or so. I actually have a plan to have podcasts once a month with all of our mentors, but I kind of agree with you, and then I kind of disagree, just because
I'm here to disagree.
I'll just give a little snippet, and then this could be a major topic of discussion for next time. But I think eventually we could get to a point, and this is just maybe conspiracy theory, whatever, but I think that we could get to a point to where if there are more robots trading in the market than there are humans, there's going to be less reaction to emotional events such as Tesla car catching on fire, or that Elon Musk was smoking weed on the Joe Rogan show. Like the computer's not going to care about that, And so if there's more people if there's more robo traders out there that are emotionless, you're going to see less of that. And I almost think that for perhaps the shorters out there, that maybe that may be more of a detriment to them than anything else. So I'd be curious to see how this looks in 50 years or so when you see more of that. Or maybe the SEC cracks down and regulates and says, hey, no, you can't do that because it's ruining the stock market. Who knows?
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how that all.
I feel like there's a lot to unfold there that we could probably talk about next time. But we'll go ahead and cut it loose there. Guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm super excited to have Cameron join the fold, if you will, in our circle of mentors that are really build WeTrade HQ and kind of bring us all together. My whole vision for WeTrade HQ from the start was not to focus it around me, even though that I am the CEO co-founder of WeTrade HQ, and this is kind of my vision, my idea. But I realize that there has to be a face of the company. I'm slowly starting to realize that as an entrepreneur / trader, I realize that there has to be a face, and I guess that face has to be me. But I don't want it to just be all about one person. We'll put it that way. I want it to be able to have more than one person be able to find success in whatever market that you're trading in. So whether you're trading over-the-counter stocks, long-term trading like Cameron, if you're trading options, Forex, cryptocurrencies, it does not matter. Whatever it is, whatever area of the market that you want to trade in, I want WeTrade HQ to be the place for you. So that is all I've got for you guys tonight. Thanks, Cameron, for your time. I appreciate you tuning in with us. Guys, go check it out. The links are in the description below for you to check out Cameron's course. And he will be in our Discord room more frequently. I've been getting on him about being more involved with our group. So be on the lookout for Cameron. He will be in the Young Money Investments channel, also hanging out wherever he feels like it. And we will see you guys all later. So as always, I will see you all before the bell. And B. Smith is out. Take it easy, folks.
See you later.